We're going to go around the room. Deb, what would you like to talk about?
A number of things, but I'll choose one.
Choose one, but you can talk about as many as you like.
Okay. I want to talk about, the May election.
Okay.
For one, and, the, Cannon Beach in general.
CB in general. Whoa, that's a big topic. Okay.
Is that what I'm saying?
Lois?
I have big topics.
Just wanting to confirm the court date
Okay,
for the wall issue,
got it.
and then maybe an update on the HRAP situation
Okay,
that was brought up at the last coffee.
yeah, it was. Kyle,
Code of conduct, I think.
okay.
Do we even want to talk about the same things?
Betty,
I'm going to talk about 12 days birthday.
good. Excellent. Stacy? All right, so much fun.
As usual.
What did you say? I'm sorry.
I'm just here to listen.
Oh,
Ginny? Hi, Ginny.
I'm out in the garage, as you can tell. I don't really have anything specific, although I'd be curious if people know what's going on with the old gas station. Is it really going to be a stop and go? Have any permits been pulled or sign requests, things like that?
Okay, that's interesting. I have totally off my radar, so I'm glad you're bringing that up. Betsy?
Well, I have to tell you, during the week, I think of things, and then when I get here, since I haven't written them down, I can't remember, but maybe it'll come to me.
I have your book, by the way, so,
Oh,
That's
good. Thank you. I have your book.
okay. Nancy?
I want to talk about the upcoming community bulletin and remind people to sign up for it if they haven't and to look for it in their email if they have.
Okay. And Anita?
Good morning. I'm trying to get my video on here. Okay.
Oh,
Good
there
morning.
you are.
I had a couple questions about the code of conduct that was passed by
Okay.
council last night. Thank you.
Okay, great. It wasn't actually passed yet, but,
Okay.
okay, so let's start with Deb.
okay.
Going by row.
As we talked about, I want to find, or we would like to find a place where people can get together and talk face to face for the election. Because I think that's just a better way to do it, is to look at each other face to face and say how we feel about it and what it is, so that people can understand it, because it's a hard one to understand.
Well, you talking about a town hall or a free-for-all?
No, it would have to be
Moderated?
yeah, it could be moderated. Or it could be, what I was thinking was here at Coffee with the Councilors with Gary and Eric. We did that before, and at least some people would come. So that's what I think, is if all else fails.
Okay,
And the problem is we don't have any space in Cannon Beach to do it. And if you, I just don't know where to go for that.
well, we don't know. Okay, here's the Gary and Eric thing. The next month, May, for Coffee with the Councilors, the chamber is not available to us on our ordinary Coffee with the Councilors day. So we have to switch it to another day. And the thought was to switch it to the following Wednesday. I can't make it that Wednesday. I've arranged my schedule to make it the first Wednesday. So possibly Eric might be able to step in for me, but he doesn't know yet. And we don't know if the chamber's even available. So it's premature to say that that would be a day for discussing the ballot measure.
Okay, so I'll just launch into the next one. Ashley last night says she didn't know about other cities, so I looked up the city of Portland has a code of conduct and a code of ethics. So I have copies on all of that. And aims is to promote trust, objectivity, accountability, leadership with city government. So what I have to say about that, I'm not going to talk about myself because I don't really care about somebody what they said to me, but I care about people like Karen and people and other people who are attacked because they don't agree.
Before you go any further, did you read the code of conduct
Yes.
that we approved last night?
Yes, and I don't think it has enough teeth, but that's my opinion. And I don't think it'll be enforced because nobody likes confrontation.
But that code of conduct covered very much the staff and how the staff is to be treated.
Okay, but she also said that there wasn't a code of conduct in other cities, and I'm gonna research.
No, we're talking about a code of conduct for behavior outside of your role as a counselor or as a member of a committee,
Volunteers?
or as a member of a committee. Yeah.
What if you're not on a committee and you volunteer for the city?
That wasn't mentioned in the code.
Anyway, let me just.
Yeah, what we approved last night was a code of conduct for appointed members of
Right.
committees and commissions.
So I'm gonna talk about the elephant in the room. Bruce is being abused, Karen's being abused, and whether you see that elephant in the room, when somebody denigrates somebody and talks down to them or uses foul language, that is common sense code of conduct. And if we talk about free speech, what we have in the town is like a cesspool of hate and resentment and numbed by alcohol. That's kind of what this, I'm gonna give you the straight poop on this. Both sides, anyway, and I see, the school now is shoved aside and it's rotting away like the soul of the town, okay? We should have a town where if we don't agree with each other, we should be able to talk. We should be able to do that without being condemned. There's people that work for this city that don't go places, or lots of people that don't go places because they fear people hate them. And that's your staff here. Who deserves to be denigrated? Who deserves to be defamed, have their integrity assaulted? And then all their peers look at them and go, oh yeah, are they right? I mean, it's an energy, okay? It's almost like we're being bullied, okay? There's bully emails that go to all of you, waste all your time. A lot of it's not even accurate. And it's almost like Trump. I mean, all these people don't support Trump, but they act like Trump. So I just think it's really mean-spirited. Half the town really voted for the school. They said 40%, but a lot of them didn't understand because they were told that the taxes would go up. So there's probably a 50-50 split here. So I think there's a reason to bring the town together and compromise and talk to each other. And there's no place to do it. And I was hoping the school would do that. And now it's not. And taxes we're going to go up because of the school, as we've gone over 1,000 times. But people were told that and they're angry about it. And people are afraid to speak out because they'll get a FU from people like Anita, who did not apologize, by the way. Anita, you have a chance, a prime chance right now to apologize to me. Do it, if you're sorry. Not a word. Okay, so.
Deb, I'm not going to address this with you. You know I apologize. You want to bring this up in a public forum. That's not right, and I'm happy to meet with you somewhere. We met at the dog store. I apologize to you. You are out of line.
You did not apologize.
Yes, I did. Your husband was there, and so was your...
My husband
Guys,
was there.
please, this is not the place for personal interaction. Come on, let's not do that now. And this is coffee with the counselors, okay? So for concerns about the city.
So anyway, about the code of conduct, it's more than just, it's bullying. Okay, there's people that bully one another in this town.
Okay, two things, Deb. First of all, I think that the code of conduct that we discussed last night covers all the things you're talking about, but not for the citizens at large, because you can't control people's behavior at large. You can control them when they sit on a committee that they're appointed to, or and if they're elected, you can control them by having a recall vote. But you can't control the behavior of citizens and tell them what they can say, whether they can bully or not. This is not just endemic to this town, it's everywhere. It's trying to control human behavior. And I just don't, there's only so much you can do. I mean, you can use the courts if someone's actually doing defamation or slander, which are very, very difficult and expensive court cases to prove. But other than, there's no way we can legislate citizens' behavior unless it's against the law. We can't tell people you're not allowed to talk, you're not allowed to say nasty things about Bruce or about Karen or about me or about Gary. We can't say that. We can't say you can't do this. Because that's what free speech is really about. You're
And-
allowed to make denigrating comments about people.
Within a meeting, there can be a code of conduct, but
Right.
especially where it gets sticky is outside of a public meeting. And that's where we really come up against First Amendment. But I mean, I don't think many people disagree with you that it would be nice if, as a community, we rejected divisive behavior and bullying and more acknowledged and respected, being neighborly and understanding and agreeing to disagree and things like that. I mean, I think some of that we can't really legislate. But I would certainly hope as a community, that's who we would be. But I think, we're trying to take some steps. Again, we've looked at appointed committee, appointed people that the council appoints to committees and setting a code of conduct for them, primarily in meetings. Because there's nothing really in place at all right now. There is some code of conduct as far as councilors. But again, Lisa makes the point that it's hard to make a code of conduct for, citizens in general voicing it however they do. But again, I would hope that
would
we.
even be legal to do.
Well,
No,
City of
that's-
Portland has done it.
No, they,
Shall not act in a way which is reasonable with regard as bullying or intimidating, and should not improperly confer advantage or disadvantage of any person. So
who does that apply to?
this is the City of Portland.
It doesn't apply to the citizens of Portland. The citizens of Portland can say whatever they want to anybody with no repercussions unless it's against the law.
Is that a council code of conduct or is that an
Yes.
appointed?
So code of conduct.
So that's
I'll research this for you.
in their capacity as a counselor. And that's what we're talking about. In your capacity as an appointed member of a committee, you can't behave certain ways in that capacity. But outside of that capacity, you can't legislate how people behave. In other words, you're trying to stop people from being assholes and you can't.
Well, I would just hope for higher standards in Cannon Beach, that's all. And I also see these elections as getting the town more and more divisive because we're pitted against each other and it's not a healthy situation. Believe me, it's not a healthy situation what's going on in this town. And you can say, oh, it's like Trump and all that, but please, I mean, all the people who bully are not, they're not Trump supporters. So it just doesn't make sense. I have never lived in a place like this where people treat each other so mean and, they're cruel to each other. Okay.
Yeah, I wish there was some other way that, we would all be able to pull together
But
as a community.
I don't agree, though, that Cannon Beach stands out as a example of being especially nasty. I think there's conflict from what I've heard, tons of conflict in Gearhart, tons of conflict in Manzanita about various, they had a recall of their mayor. This happens everywhere.
Don't make excuses.
I'm not making excuses. You're saying that Cannon Beach is worse than,
We've got to stop it in this country and we've got to stop it here, right here and now.
well,
I guess that's one of the things that concerns me about the citizen ballot measure coming up is if divisiveness, if you enjoyed the divisiveness of the school and enjoyed the result of the school, which is we're left with nothing and nowhere to go, then this ballot measure is for you, because it will essentially perpetuate the divisiveness. in this community.
So what is it? I mean, I want to hear from them. Is it because they resent that their money is being spent and they want to control how the money is being spent? I want to understand this. I have to write about it, okay? And I want to be factual. So I have to speak to both sides on this issue. And, you know, some of them won't speak to me because I was supporting of the school. And, you know, we saw how that all turned out. There's a lot of people that don't feel safe or trusted in this town, and that's just really sad. Okay? I mean, you can say all you want legally. I don't really care. I really don't. I don't. I think you have to address common sense kindness. I mean, if people like, I mean, I'm not going to mention his name, but he's somebody that you were on a board or his wife with. He said, this is the cruelest town I've ever been in. And, you know, when they sit and say stuff about Bruce or Karen, do you remember Karen here? Remember Karen when she was here?
Of course I do.
Okay, well, you might talk to her, but maybe talk to her.
I don't
about-
need to talk to her. I know what happened with her, and I think it was awful.
Right, and you want that to continue?
No, I don't. Of course not.
Stop it.
But my hope is just more and more people reject that kind of divisiveness. And until we do, we're just going to have these, you know, until that bullying and divisiveness becomes not acceptable. And I don't think we can do it by a policy or a code of conduct. I think it's something within us that we all have to aspire to.
Yeah, you have to
Greater humanity, essentially.
treat people.
Greater humanity.
Yeah, treat people well, treat other people well. And you do that yourself, and the people you hang out with also will treat people well, because those are the people you associate with. And if there's a bunch of nasty people, I just have nothing to do with them.
Well, that would be
I
good
mean-
if we weren't having another election. And you know, I have Robin Risley her mom worked for our family business all her life. And you know, there's just, it's sad. Okay. That's all. It's sad that Anita and I are, you know, probably have a lot more in common than she knows. He just never met me, you know, it's sad. That's all I'm saying. It's really sad. I don't want to see people attacking Karen anymore. I don't ever see somebody out demonstrating on the street. I don't want to see people attacking Bruce and putting him down because, you know, folks, he's going to get the city hall, the police station, and the bathroom. But look at what he does, not what, you know, he doesn't say much anyway, as far as talk a lot. He's getting a lot of stuff done. And it's a matter of being kind to a person. You may not like him, but you need to be kind, okay? And I don't care what code of conduct, and they need to be kind to Karen, and they need to be kind to all these people that work here who feel like they're hated when they walk through town.
Okay, Deb, I agree with you. I think it's way more sensible to be kind to people. You can't force them to be. If they don't want to be, they're not going to be, period.
Is that what
can't
we want
make
in
them.
Cannon Beach?
What?
Is that what we want?
No, I don't want that. But what am I supposed to?
Move on to another topic. This is.
Yeah, I think we will. Let's come.
The way we can kind of wrap this up. I think we kind of understand
Okay, so-
and.
But the election and the discord that comes from elections every 6 months is toxic.
I agree. That would be a terrible.
Compromise and talk it. Yeah, you get one and I get one. and you
There's
get
not
one,
a-
I get one.
Moving right along.
So Lois,
Let's go.
Build the wall.
Lois, you wanted an HRAP update on that. Bruce will give that to you. Okay. And
Well,
the.
for everybody, I mean.
Right,
no,
right.
I just. want
No, I agree. It should happen.
Address.
Yeah, first thing is the wall will be heard on April 23rd.
April 23rd.
And it won't be here because
You know.
it'll be at the Chamber of Commerce Community Room here. So we're moving all meetings to there.
10 a.m. still?
No, my note says 11:30.
11:30?
That's what the note says, and I don't know who gave us this information, but I'll try to check it.
It's on the city's website. Yeah, it's
11:30?
11:30.
Yeah,
Thank you.
sure. Sure. As far as HRAP, everybody spent a bunch of time together. Things are better as far as the interactions. We're not totally there where I think we need to be, but we're getting closer. And we're looking at ways to get the budget back in line with what it was, prior, because we've had that big jump. And I think that we'll be able to work around a lot of those issues.
I think Bruce has had many, many meetings with people on the staff and the director and counselors and everybody. I know he's been in meeting after meeting about it and working. I know he's working through it.
Well, there were some issues about hours worked.
Right, there
certain
were,
months
and he
missing money and.
he researched that. It's not missing money. It was management of budget. And I think he's been working with the director, trying to figure out exactly what happened and why. And I think some of that has been resolved.
Yeah, some of it has.
Good.
Not all entirely, yet he's still working on it.
I want to say something about that because poor Kelly was just like eviscerated. It was like the hyenas going after a impala on the Serengeti. And I think that's something that should be between Bruce and he's hearing it and take it to.
When someone
It's
comes,
not okay.
when someone comes to council and asks for $125,000 because they are over budget, it is the council's job to try and figure out what is going on.
I think,
I hear you there.
Yeah,
I hear you.
Are you more referring to the number of the public comments?
It was a coffee with the counselors and it was also,
it was people,
You know-
her staff came here. Her staff
There was
was here
several
and
times.
talked about, they were upset.
Yeah.
So, and I think that I'm glad they expressed themselves. They have a right to say what they see as going on in a very important program. And that's what they did.
but bring Kelly in to defend herself then.
Okay,
Really,
Kyle,
this is an issue between,
Bruce and
Bruce and
them.
her.
Bruce said, yes,
Uh-huh.
that's what I'm
so
saying.
that, people can say what they say in public, but that's Bruce's job. And
Right,
It's my job to
Doing it.
defend her.
right.
And he is working hard to make it right.
I know. I like Kelly. I mean, I don't wish ill will on anybody.
Oh,
Okay,
you're such a dumb bitch.
what?
There you go.
What was that?
Who was talking? Patrick.
Who was that?
That was Patrick Nofield. Anyway, Kyle,
So for the conduct,
That was nice.
I.
The problem, you guys, I'm sorry, but the problem is there's conflict in this community because there's a few antagonists that go around stir it up. At the same time, they say they want unity and civility, but they're the worst people. And it's so frustrating to hear the hypocrisy.
okay, wait a minute, can we run this meeting in the order? Because there's people who
Yes.
showed up here.
I'm sorry.
But Patrick, I'd like, I'll put you on the list.
Thank you.
I'll put you on the
It's not
list to
help.
speak. Okay, Kyle, it's your turn.
Curious in regards to the code of conduct, you guys have the power already to take people off of the committees that you've appointed people, is that correct?
We do, but we wanted to make it, to have rules for it. So it can't just happen randomly because you don't like somebody or something someone said offended one person and not another. We wanted to have a kind of a policy that there's expectations. And these are the expectations. And that's what we were
The
trying to do.
justification for
Yeah.
removal was not clarified.
Yeah.
There actually there is some, that's about the only policy there is that council
Yeah,
can remove someone. But
there was no
there was nothing
reasons.
that gave us, they crossed the line here.
I think the part about being on your own personal time, when you're already volunteering, so that's understandable when you're in a committee. But boy, that seems like a slippery slope for First Amendment when you are on your own time and you don't have the ability to voice your First Amendment rights of something. If you don't agree with the way city council a decision or something, even if you're on a committee, you should be able to disagree with them.
And that's,
And I think that's a tough situation.
that's why we took that part out about how you behave on your own when you're not in your capacity as a committee member. You're not acting in that capacity. We realize that we have no right to control somebody's behavior outside of their capacity as a appointed committee member. And that's why we removed that part.
So you didn't, okay.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, that was removed from the code of conduct. I think it's
That's
still,
a hard thing to gauge in your own personal time, what you want to say. and do.
Right.
Yeah.
it's true. All of us struggle to come up with, okay, what actually is crossing that line? There's illegal, and that is spelled out in the code of conduct, illegal activity.
Mhm.
But there's my personal feeling that there's probably something this side of illegal that is inappropriate. But we haven't found the language to really do that yet. We'll keep looking at it. We have to be careful with that.
And I have not seen any other code of conduct anywhere that tries to regulate behavior outside of your capacity as an appointed official. And I doubt if there is one.
Say it's gonna affect decision making, yeah.
Yeah. I agree, but thanks.
So calling someone a dumb bitch right now in a city meeting is okay?
I didn't hear that. I'm sorry.
You didn't hear that?
No.
I did.
Is it okay? I hope it's not okay.
Well, let's just wait till we get to that. And we're going around the room. I just want everyone to get, Betty would like to talk about 12 days now. I'd like her to get that chance. This is something positive here.
On another note.
Yeah, let's move on to something positive for at least a few moments.
The 12 Days of Earth Day starts on the 11th of April and goes until the 22nd of April, which is Earth Day. And this year we have quite an amazing amount of events that are happening from our wonderful nonprofits all around our community and right outside of our community. So I hope everybody will participate. It's a city sponsored event. Thank you, city, for allowing us to have 12 wonderful days celebrating our Earth. This year, the Cannon Beach Academy kids are going to be in the parade dressed as butterflies, bees, and all of the wonderful things in our Earth that support us. And in the booth, the kids are going to be explaining about how you vermicast, how you compost, why the pollinators are good for us. So please stop by our booth and see what our children from our wonderful Cannon Beach are doing to protect us and to become superheroes. You guys can become superheroes too.
Could we put those flyers up on that board so people can see who are coming in? These beautiful flyers on the community bulletin board, is that
Is
possible?
there a location for your central?
It's at the street fair. I'll give you.
And then where?
I'm gonna be passing out flyers.
Okay, all right.
And then also Recology and Shreds is coming on the 18th, Friday, and they're gonna be in the parking lot right down here. Shreds will take all of your business papers and shred them up. And then Recology is gonna be collecting batteries and electronic equipment and giving away 5-gallon buckets of compost. So please join us from 10 to 2 on the 18th.
And do you bring your own bucket?
Yes.
YOB.
You bring your own bucket. And if you're doing a shred event, if you have a small amount of shreds, it's our gift. But if you have a truckload of shreds, we hope you will donate generously because this costs the city a lot of money to have the shred event happen.
Okay, great.
I'll tap them down and then also put them in the post office and around town.
And I always look at that community bulletin board all the time for.
Oh, yeah, right there. I can.
Yeah.
I think they were put up, I think the Jen went around and put them up either a day or two ago. We just haven't got to the bulletin, but I'll make sure it does.
Good. All right, that'd be great. Thank you very much, Betty. That's good news.
Well, they're different. I thought she gave.
Now-
me, but-
Ginny, about the gas station. Does anybody have any information? Do you have any information about the gas station, Bruce?
Only that it is going to be some sort of a convenience store. And that's all I have.
A convenience store.
You don't know where they're at in the process.
It's a stop and go, is that right? Like the ones they have in Warrenton and Gerhard or wherever?
I don't know if it's a stop and go.
But the rule is they can only have 3 or 4 locations before they become a chain and they can't be in Cannon Beach, something like that.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering if it was a chain, because we don't do chains.
I think it's a small chain, kind of like the Pelican.
Then it's okay, yeah.
I don't have that information.
Okay. Do you know anyone who might, or no?
Steve?
Steve?
Hmm.
Okay. So he'd be the person to ask.
So you wouldn't allow a Cinnabon, huh?
No Cinnabon, sorry.
Yeah, but we're getting a s'mores shop, so there's that.
For Cinnabon, we would look the other way. Cinnabon, we would look the other way.
Okay, and Nancy, you had something about the bulletin?
Get my little. Just a minute. I'm coming. All right. Okay, yeah, we're having a community bulletin. It's supposed to come out on Friday, right, Bruce?
Yes.
Okay, then we got that taken care of. We're gonna have a lot of stories in the community bulletin. One, it'll be on the ballot measure. We also will have a schedule for the move for the city hall and the community meetings, the public meetings and at the chamber. We have photos on the police department groundbreaking, which was kind of fun. The 12 days of Earth Day will be, there'll be a story on that. And we have a story on housing, some of the discussion that this council had on housing and a housing study that has been released about Cannon Beach and where it stands and the need for housing. And along with that, we'll have a little sidebar story on a presentation that was made about Lease to Locals program. Let's see, we also will have a picture and a kind of a congratulatory story on the bathrooms being open in Midtown, yay. So we have a lot of different things going on with the community bulletin, and I want to remind people that they can go to the city website and they can click on search and just put in bulletin, and it'll take you to both the community bulletin and the sign up for the community bulletin so that you can get it in your email. So anybody that is listening to this who hasn't signed up for the community bulletin, I urge you to do so.
Thanks, Nancy. That's great. It's kind of like a little newspaper of sorts.
Well, I hope so. I mean, we don't have much here in terms of a newspaper, so this I think will give you a little more information about what's going on in the city.
Great, that's good. Okay, Anita, code of conduct you wanted to talk about.
Hi. I just had a couple questions, having been the target of a character assassination and smear campaign by a very vindictive individual in this town, wondering how that is going to be initiated as I sit on 2 committees, and I am concerned about obviously the continued attacks personally that I am being subjected to, and where the protection for me as a committee member having to deal with this vindictive behavior and character assassination, and how that's going to be decided. You know, is it going to be she said, I said, and I'm concerned about how this is going to be used for somebody's personal issues.
Well, first of all, if a member of the community at large says anything about you or me or Gary or Bruce, there's not much we can do about that. Again, that's it's free
understand that.
speech. They're allowed to say what they want unless they're acting in their capacity as a committee member or in their capacity as a counselor, that really there's not, I mean, people are allowed to say what they want.
I agree with that. What I'm saying is that what if there is a character assassination that comes from a vindictive individual, and then am I going to have to defend myself in front of council or another committee member? They have to defend themselves against somebody's word that it's hearsay somewhere out in public. I watch a lot of meetings and I'm not seeing any disrespect or unkind, and I'm sorry if Bruce or Karen are being attacked. I don't know about that. And so that is concerning, but I'm not seeing it to any level that would warrant having a tool to remove somebody based on hearsay, which is how it's coming across to me.
Well, hopefully, if there was ever an initiation of any kind of code of conduct, that it would be fair and impartial, have to be, otherwise it's worthless,
Right.
so it can't just be based on rumor or innuendo. It has to be fair and impartial. And I would assume, I would trust that the council would follow those kinds of rules.
I think
If that
this
was
is
to
about
happen.
us and committees. It's about, collective city leadership applying a higher standard to themselves. And we can't apply a higher standard to what citizens say.
True.
But, if you're representing the city, I think it's appropriate that we're held to a higher standard.
Okay. Thank you.
That answers your question, Anita.
I think so, at least for now.
Okay.
I just want to get along with everybody and do what I'm trying to do on these committees, which is what's best for Cannon Beach. And I don't appreciate personal attacks from vindictive people.
Okay.
Well, that comes with the territory anyway. I mean,
Well, I understand that. Yes, it does. But it doesn't need to happen during coffee with the counselors.
Okay, hold on. Let's just move on.
Hey, come on, this is.
No, hold on. Let's just hear, we can have,
I'm being scapegoated. I'm being
no.
gaslit.
Okay, just a second. You'll have your chance. Let's have Patrick speak. He's the last person on the list, and then we can have time to hear other issues. Okay, I just want to go through the list because that's my job, is to make sure everyone gets on that list, gets to speak. So Patrick?
Thank you, Lisa. First of all, I do apologize for my outburst. That was completely inappropriate. However, almost as Anita has alleged, there's people in this town that go after me personally, go after my business, say things on their Facebook posts that are untrue. They don't even know me. And they go after my wife. This one person came up to my wife, started videotaping her without her consent. And my point is, you talk about wanting civility, you want to talk about wanting people to get along, yet there are people that are so antagonistic and create this tension and conflict. Lisa, Gary, I've been here 39 years. We've had disagreements. We've had arguments, but we've always honored everybody. We've come back and been civil. And what's happened, you talk about the fabric of our community tearing apart. It is because of people that are so antagonistic. I try to ignore this person. I try not to respond. Today, Kyle was walking into the council meeting and he got attacked by this individual. And so you got to look at it both ways. Just because we don't agree or you don't agree with somebody doesn't mean they're wrong. And you talk about gaslighting. You can't go around writing things that are untrue. One thing was written in a Facebook post recently about me, that the reason why we supported Cannon Beach together, the reason why we wanted to get the school measure on the ballot was because we were upset that we lost with the prepared meals tax. That is so far from the truth. So you put that stuff out there, and after a while, you're going to create a lack of civility. I'm sorry.
Well, I think that a comment like the one you just referenced, I didn't see it, but that comment is somebody's opinion, and they're allowed to give their opinion, even if the opinion ends up sort of negative towards you. I think that we have to allow people to express their opinions, and that was their opinion, you know.
Yeah, no, that was completely inappropriate on my part, and I honestly thought I was muted. So that's on me, and I own it.
And as far as Kyle being attacked, I didn't see him being attacked. I think that the individual was trying to get him to engage in conversation, and he chose not to. So, you know, I wouldn't see that as an attack. I would just see it, you know, as an attempt, an unsuccessful attempt, even from the go, to try and engage. So, you know, I mean,
But
once
Lisa, I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's a pattern here. It doesn't cease. I mean, we typically choose to ignore it, so we don't engage, because I think when we engage, it gives people it's what they want, especially if you're perceiving them as antagonistic. But it's happening time and again with Kyle. I mean, Kyle's kind. He doesn't want to create issues, but I know we've had a conversation. I mean, it gets upsetting after a while. And so, you know, Herb Schwab, he was probably one of our best mayors of all time. And Herb, he can be very abrupt as an old circuit court judge, but he would always leave the table with a handshake or with an engagement and agree to disagree, but moving on for the good of the community. And I feel like we're losing that a little bit because of some of these individuals that are, again, and I use this word over and over, antagonist.
okay.
Thank you. And thank you for letting me have my piece. I really appreciate it.
Lois, you wanted to say something?
Well, I understand that you didn't see the questioning as an attack. I'm wondering how Kyle saw it, how he felt it.
Well, we had the other night, I mean, this is just like a soap opera. Oh, at the Cannon Beach together, Fultanos, she came up to me, why do you hate me? Why do you hate me? I said, just like intensely, you know, I don't want to engage. I'm not gonna. And then we did the same thing today. And it's like, I don't need to talk to you. I don't want to talk to you. That's just the way it is. That's okay, isn't it? I mean, do we have to talk to everybody?
You're right to talk to whoever you want to talk
You
to.
know, and I don't want to walk it up, I'm uncomfortable about that kind of stuff. And, you know,
But really, if you two would go to lunch, it would solve a lot of issues.
Says I'm trying
But I
to
don't
get
see-
people to talk.
but I don't see
So
the-
he's got a closed door, and I respect that, okay? The door is closed, there's a wall between us, so
that should have been evidence
yeah.
the other night. And then,
Okay, well, Sharon's my good friend, she's friends with you, Sharon and I get along really well, so, you know, and I thought maybe we'd like each other too, but I tried to reach out
It's
to
that
her.
constant, it's just that negative energy, negative
It's
vibe.
not
that's-
negative, it's trying to reach out. And Patrick, oh my God, I mean, I've stayed at your hotels all my life, coming to Cannon Beach, and I'm devastated you would call me a dumb bitch. And I thank you for apologizing. But I want to take, if you look at Protect Cannon Beach, I want to invite anybody to see if there's negativity on there.
Oh,
Right, can you send me
Well,
that?
yeah, you wrote stuff about me, about the fireworks, like, I mean, several years ago. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's negative.
Okay, well, send it to me, I'd like to see it.
You wrote it.
Okay, well, I don't remember saying anything about the fireworks, okay? I don't know, you have to show it to me.
But-
As far as posts about, I wasn't the only one posting about Patrick, so, I mean, in fact, I didn't know because I don't know his history, other than, I don't know him personally, other than staying at his hotels and having a condo and all of that. And I was devastated. I always thought, oh, I'd come down here and I could work at the Ocean Lodge. I love the Ocean Lodge. And I was devastated that the relationship, and you're calling me vindictive and all of this stuff. What you're doing too, it's like, I'm trying to bring the town together. We can't keep doing this. It's so unhealthy.
So whatever you're doing is not working, so we need to do something else.
Well, I will,
Well, it works for some people.
I don't see Protect Cannon Beach as being necessarily negative at all. I think that people are free to express their opinions on it, at least as far as I've seen. There's some opinions that come on there that I think are not things I would agree with, but I'm glad to read what people say. I want to see it's my job to see what everybody is saying. And I think Protect Cannon Beach, I'm not a fan of Facebook in general, so I'm not on it, that very rarely on it. But you know, when I do look at Protect Cannon Beach, I like to see how people are weighing in. I haven't seen it as negative necessarily.
Social media in general is really the problem that when we talk about.
Oh, that's a bigger issue. Yeah.
Society and
Yeah.
activity and.
Yeah, well,
Slaughtering people, slandering people, whatever. It's social media. People get behind a keyboard and they're not face to face with you. They're gonna say all kinds of stuff.
Yeah,
they
it's-
have to say right to your face, and
it's a big social
that's why we
problem.
Get together in groups and talk about normal stuff and try to get that back. I mean, that's.
So how can we do that? I would help you, but we don't work together. So maybe somebody else could take
We're
that
making
over.
baby steps. I mean, it's not gonna happen today, it's not gonna happen tomorrow, but I mean, I think just getting that out there and
Well, I think this forum is actually a great baby step.
I can't talk at a city council meeting because I'm too nervous for some reason, but we're here, it's a little bit more casual. So
I hope a lot more.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit and listen to somebody for 25 minutes rant and rave about, certain topics. I mean,
Yeah, well, I think everyone got to speak who wanted to speak, which is what I was very, wanted to see happen.
appreciate that.
And if there's anybody else who'd like to say anything now, I'd like to, anybody?
I would like to say
Okay. Okay, Gary.
that I think we all need to hold ourselves accountable and for where we're at and hold ourselves to this higher responsibility for higher civility, better communication, agreeing to disagree. I think it starts with us. There's heard a lot of pointing fingers here, and I think it really starts with us.
You mean us collectively,
And
everybody?
Each of us individually.
Mhm. Yeah, that's true.
Well, elections don't help because we disagree. So I don't know how you come together on that.
But that's the whole idea of elections.
But I-
is
I
that
just-
you have an election because the process of an election is fantastic because it allows it's democracy at work. That's what an election is.
I agree with that. It's not a divisive thing. It's everybody gets an opportunity to say what they want behind the scenes or whatever. I mean, that's how the country's built. Why is that such a negative and bad thing?
I don't know, but I don't see it as a fun experience. But anyway,
Well, it's a lot of work. If you feel strongly.
what's it gonna do, this next thing gonna do to the city, as you've said, both of you have said, how do you?
I mean,
We have to, we are pretty adamant and Gary and I know we're on the same page about this. We're pretty adamant about how we feel if this election went a certain way, how negatively it would impact the city. That's our opinion. Not everybody in the council agrees with us. And if the ballot measure initiative passes, we'll deal with it then. We'll figure out how to move forward.
yeah, elections are one thing, but this ballot measure to me is forcing the divisiveness in an area where it doesn't need to be. And I don't see it as democracy. I see it as kind of subverting our representative form of democracy that we have. It really feels like disregarding the commitment of elected officials in this town. I mean, I ran because I wanted to commit to doing the work. And so we look at packets of 1,000 pages to get through some meetings. We spend months looking at things, and now this ballot measure is just rejecting all that, and really what matters is public opinion. And so misinformation comes into play, misrepresentation comes into play, that's my concern. It's like, we're gonna get the elected government we deserve, I think, because I mean, I didn't run to proclaim it, National Puffin Month. I ran to accomplish things for this community, things for the good of the community. And honestly, I'm feeling disregarded in the amount of work that I put in, and that it's going to increase if this passes.
Well,
Sorry.
no, I understand what you're saying. I mean, I feel the same way about, spending a year and a half in weekly meetings about trying to beef up our tree ordinance. And that's what I ran on, was trees, wetlands, dark sky. Those were the issues I ran on. And I'm finding that I'm coming into roadblocks all the time. That's just part of the process. You have to, I'm not happy about it. And sometimes I come home and I'm just like, oh my goodness, I can't stand it anymore. But I come back the next week and try again. I mean, that's the way it goes. That's democracy. And this, that's another question on whether this should even have happened, but
It feels to me as though agreeing to this election process, however many months ago that happened, was to some extent abdicating the responsibility of the council and putting it out to the public, when maybe, and I know the council felt bullied into doing that, possibly, but might it have been better for the council to have said, this is our responsibility to make this decision. We've made it. Here are the facts.
Well, there were lawyers involved, which again, if you want lawyers involved, this is going down the right path. If you want money involved in swaying public opinion, this is going down the right path. I think those are the dangers that we find ourselves in.
right. I think that as a council, maybe there's, maybe we felt a little intimidated by all the lawyers telling us to do one thing, and maybe we shouldn't have done it. I don't know. I can't, it's too late now. I'm not gonna second guess it.
Yeah.
It happened. It's the way it is now, and that, we're stuck with it.
And for, a quarter of a century, we've talked about a city hall and police station and, getting the police out of the dust closet and getting it in a safe place. And we were seriously in danger of losing that or having to pay much more for it because of the lawsuit. So we settled, which but I mean, we were in danger of actually solving a problem we've worked on, that I've seen this community work on for, about 30 years.
The police station issue. Oh,
Yes. Police station, city hall.
wow.
Yeah, so there was a lot going on behind the scenes that, I'm not saying we made the right decision. I'm just saying that at the time, it seemed like the right decision.
Well, see, I think this is really a healthy conversation. I mean, I think I'm just built up because I can't, there's, who do you talk to? There's no two ways. He can't talk, I can't talk. I mean, who do we talk to?
Well,
It builds up.
that's one of the reasons for Coffee with the Councilors is a
Right.
chance to speak in a open forum on a casual basis and, express what's bugging you.
And if you can't talk, what is there? I mean, I don't really care if you tell me I'm a dumb bitch or fucked up because I have my own self-esteem, but it's kind of like, why don't you just talk to me? Because it's probably not as bad as you think. And I don't know. I think
Yeah.
people need to lay down their arms and just say, let's start fresh and let's compromise here and there. And we're not all gonna get what we want. We're not perfect. I'm not perfect. Bruce is not perfect. You're not perfect. Nobody is 100%, okay? And
I
we
should
should,
think it comes down to listening, maybe, not talking.
Yeah,
okay?
listening is, and yeah, and I would ask that from now on, people, please take control of your computer and mute it when it's supposed to be muted, because, this is, I mean, really, at some point, I mean, I know I always use being old as an excuse, but I mean, it's not, it's
It's
just,
valid.
no, it's just not cool. I mean,
How they really feel myself.
well, I don't want to hear that in this meeting. I don't want to hear people using denigrating language like
Yeah.
that in a meeting, in an open meeting. And I know that and I appreciate the apology, but I guess I didn't hear it. Maybe I couldn't believe,
You'll see. You can
I couldn't
listen to
believe it.
later.
Well, anyway, but I'm
It's
just sorry that, I mean, we just got to learn to use the computer correctly. That's all I ask. Mute, unmute. There you go.
Well, that's what it's all
We've seen you on
came out.
Zoom before, I don't know.
I
You've
I
seen
think
me on-
everybody needs to vent sometimes, but this is not the place for it.
Meetings.
We're on Zoom.
Well, there's nowhere else to
What's that?
talk. That's the problem, Gary.
Oh, that's true. Yes.
That's the problem.
I was terrible with
We
it.
need a place to talk.
Well,
We needed the school.
I have my own places. I vent. And I'm frustrated. You'd never know it.
Yeah.
I'm my always positive,
Get angry.
but
Not good.
anyway, again, I think
Anyway.
I think
Well, thank you, everybody, for coming. I know this was kind of a fraught meeting, but I appreciate you're all hanging in there and expressing your opinions. So we'll see you. We'll have information about next month soon. Yeah.
I think this timing, if we actually get back to the timing of the Wednesdays and Wednesdays after council meetings, that could be very helpful.
Yeah, I think it's good because
so-
then you can talk, it's fresh in your mind what happened at council and you're free to talk about it. Yeah, it is. I agree with you. It's a great timing
So
thing.
keep on your mind how we can have a group between Cannon Beach together in the community and us and.
I don't know if that's going to happen before the election, Deb. I
Yeah.
don't think there's a venue for it or appetite for it.
I think Cannon Beach Together is gonna do a bonfire or something in the next month or so, for people to stop by and.
A bonfire.
that's what-
Well, when it's not raining,
Last time.
it was boring.
First day of spring was nice and wet.
You have it when it's nicer weather. Yeah. Okay, thanks, everyone.